Tony Khan has a beehive. He better get in there with some smoke, and he better calm that down because, I mean, Jeff's done more in 1 week than that Max Caster would ever probably do in his lifetime.
We will end off with two topics here. A hot topic on social media this week is people that you're very familiar with, Dutch, from your times in TNA and your close personal relationships with, but I just want to give you opportunity to say anything about it with the whole situation going on with Jeff Jarrett, Karen Jarrett, and Kurt Angle coming out of last week's Dynamite, the December 28th edition of Dynamite 2022. Max Caster of the Acclaim came out with a new music video. In the music video, of course, they are feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, made references to them going back to the Impact Zone, made references to Jay Lethal being imitating all these wrestlers, yet being in the business for 20 years and no one imitates him. And with Jeff Jarrett, they address the fact that they feel like he is stealing AEW's money, like he stole Kurt Angle's wife. So of course, that has been a big topic in wrestling for almost 20 years now, going back to when Kurt Angle was with TNA. He was legally separated from Karen Angle at that time, and they started using her in storyline in 2007, and that led to her meeting Jeff Jarrett. Of course, they had their relationship get married. There was a whole bunch of situations at that time in TNA where Kurt Angle got sent home. Jeff Jarrett got sent home by Dixie Carter, and Jarrett actually addressed those things on his podcast, in which he basically said that Dixie Carter sending him home had nothing to do with the Kurt Angle situation, had nothing to do with his relationship with Karen. It had more to do with a power play by her and Vince Russo trying to send Jeff Jarrett home to so Vince could write the TV on his own, while Dixie can run the company on her own without Jarrett being involved. They use that situation to their advantage. So it's a whole bunch of things going on in this whole situation. Kurt Angle has come out and says that he wants nothing to do with it. Karen Jarrett went on social media and accused Kurt Angle of having affairs with Dawn Marie and Kelly Kelly during his time in WWE. Kelly Kelly has responded to that, saying that she has never been involved in any of those situations. She's reached out to Karen Jarrett to talk about it one-on-one if there's been any miscommunication or confusion. So a lot of people are into this whole thing, and I just want to know your opinion on everything here.
That's bigger than I even thought it was. Listen, I live in my own bubble. I go back in this room and I sit down and see, I was in TNA when most of that went down. See, I know Kurt, and I know Jeff, and I know Karen, and Jeff to me is damn near family. I met him when he was about 12, 13 years old. Knew he wanted to get in the wrestling business, and I remember when he was training. So when he started TNA along with Dixie Carter, I came in, and this situation kind of developed over time, like I guess all situations do, I guess. But I don't want to get involved in it because they're all friends. I don't want to take a side. But I will give a little bit of advice to Kurt. I would say, Kurt, the best thing you can do at this point, since you're working back with WWE now, is don't get that hornet's nest all stirred up. Because I know Karen. I know how she fights. I know. I mean, she fights to win, and the daggers come out. So, Kurt, the best thing you can do, and, wrestlers are no different than regular people. There's more people know us than know regular people. But put yourself in this situation, Sid. You can do this. Has your wife ever been mad at you, or a woman ever been mad at you?
Yep.
It's not fun, is it?
Nope.
And Kurt, the best thing you can do, because I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk a lot, but I don't. I mean, I wouldn't go down the street to somebody I don't know. Just like most of the people listening now, I don't know these people that are listening. They listen to me, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't just say, well, this guy did this and he did that, and she did this and this, because see, that's just what I've heard. I don't know who did what, but I think this situation needs to die down quick, because and I don't know what set Karen off about Kurt.
It's the line from Max Caster.
But Kurt had nothing to do with that, right?
No, he didn't.
So
she basically because the line of what I've said, and I talked about it with my significant other as well, is that the whole line of Jeff stealing Karen from Kurt, it does not put Jeff Jarrett in a bad light. It puts Karen in a bad light, that she went to, where her ex-husband was working and got with one of his superiors, a part of like the management. So I think in response, Karen Angle obviously was upset with the line being said, with it being aired. She was not only upset with Max Caster, she was upset with Tony Khan. And I think that she had to basically either add to her credentials or her legitimacy of being believed that she did nothing wrong, that Kurt didn't steal her from her. Kurt was already doing things that caused them to be separated and eventually divorced, and that she created a whole new relationship with Jeff Jarrett, that no one should be saying that. I think that it was just her end of just exposing some things to be like, no, Kurt is in the wrong here. We were separated, we were divorced, he was the one that actually did affairs with other people, and then when we were legally divorced and separated, I met Jeff. That's where I think that's how it came off to me with Karen Jarrett's Twitter feed from earlier this week.
There's not going to be a winner in this. It's going to be, if it gets started, both sides will be bloodied. I don't think beyond repair, but I would just let this just die. To me, if I was Tony Khan, I would ask Max Caster why he put that line in there. I mean, it's a cutting line that made people set up and take notice of that. But then again, at the end of it, that Karen took the heat from it. And I bet where she got mad is people started probably contacting her on social media, and it's one thing after another, and she got tired of it. So anyway, I think this is a situation best left unattended to. Let it go. Let it evaporate and let it slide down the road.
Yeah, and I also had to...
sometimes, seriously, guys on the road, wrestlers on the road, they do some crazy stuff. And I know some crazy stuff. I've never brought it out before, but in my next book, I may bring it out. Somebody. If I don't like the person.
The only response that I've seen here of what Kurt Angle has said about the whole situation is he did put out a tweet where he said, "When you got to use my name to get heat after 12 years, #move on." So yeah, Jarrett kind of addressed that as well, and saying that he's going to give Max Caster a receipt for bringing that up.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. That's public. Now, there's certain things you can't do in wrestling, and that's one guy is make your opponent pissed off because of something that didn't need to be said. Max Casker's a young guy in this business. A good rapper. He's talented. But he could have come up with another line, because I don't think he realized what he was actually writing or rapping. I think it may have went over his head. He'll find out.
Yeah,
He, he
this is what Jarrett had to say about Max. He says, "Really, Max? I guess I've been in two Hall of Fames since then." After Castor said that he hasn't been relevant since 2004, he says, "I guess I started a company and got it up where it was making 6, 8, $10 million. It was making over $50 million gross, and you're saying I'm irrelevant." He then said, "Max, let's get down to you now. Let's expose you. Let's talk about the fraud you are. If it wasn't for Billy Gunn, who's a few years older than me, you and your little B expletive would be irrelevant." He says, "But you invoking my wife's name, she don't have no paper with AEW, completely out of line. So I'll just say this, there's a lot of moving parts Wednesday night. We all know this is an industry, so who knows what's going to happen, but I will say this, Max, you have multiple receipts coming, multiple, and you'll know it. I can assure you that. You will know it. You think I'm working? You think this is a podcast? You think this is blah, blah, blah? You'll find out, and I assure you that."
Well, they convinced me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. After Brawl Out, the whole situation with Sammy and Eddie, Sammy and Andrade, those comments right there would lead, if I'm Tony Khan, would lead to me canceling that matchup. They're supposed to verse the Acclaim versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal on Wednesday. I don't want any situation like the previous situations that's happened in AEW. If I'm Tony Khan, I would cancel that match.
Really?
Yeah. If you have one of the people in that match basically publicly saying, and yeah, he could still be working despite him saying, "Oh, I'm not working, this is not a podcast." He could still be working, but if there's any indication, and Tony doesn't try to talk this over, because you have that situation going on, as well as there's been a report from Wrestling Observer that a lot of people backstage weren't happy with Dax Hardwood's comments during his podcast, where he talked about wanting CM Punk to come back to AEW, wanting the Elite and CM Punk to work everything out because a program between them would be huge for professional wrestling, AEW, and creating livings for a whole bunch of people. And apparently there's a contention backstage that doesn't want CM Punk back, and we're not happy with Dax's comments. So you have two big situations that have been made public through podcasts. If Tony Khan doesn't at least try to do a talent meeting on Wednesday, he's setting himself up for another big backstage blow up at some point.
Wow. See, AEW's angles are backstage. They're with the guys, not on camera. I mean, the dirt sheets love this because, and hey, I've seen a lot of guys say things on TV that the opponents didn't like, and they heard about it right when they come through that door. I've done it a few times myself, and I've been told a few times too. So, but when guys told me what I said they didn't like, I just beat them up, punched them out, and left them laying. So, but you got to watch what you say. You can't get too personal. And that what Max Caster said was a personal shot. And if she was watching, Tony Khan has a beehive. He better get in there with some smoke, and he better calm that down, because, I mean, Jeff's done more in 1 week than that Max Caster would ever probably do in his lifetime. I'm just saying how the business is right now. Of course, Jeff had the 30-year head start on him. But listen, that's called. But in his defense, I don't think he realized what he was saying.
No, he thought Max Caster makes a lot of references to stuff that is said on social media and said among fans. So this is something that fans have been talking about for 2 decades. For 2 decades.
He better not say nothing about me, by God, or you. I'd defend you too, Sid. So
I appreciate that.
Well,
this is why I appreciate you, Dutch.
That I didn't really understand till you kind of described it to me. Now I understand it more. But Karen is not the woman you want to make mad. You need her to be your friend or to not be mad at you. She don't necessarily have to be your friend, but you damn sure don't want her mad at you. Because I love Karen, I love Jeff, and I love Kurt. So whatever happened, and they could all, regular people have beefs with each other. Don't mean I got to pick a side.
This is true. This is true.
I just don't talk to them about the other person. Because you'd be sitting with somebody and saying, oh, yeah, it's a beautiful day. Well, what about what he said? God damn it. They're gone. Now you're in it. Every time they see you, they want to talk about that. But anyway, we'll see. Hey, Tony, if you're listening, give me a call. And I won't answer.
There you go. Give him a call on Friday at 11:05 p.m. Eastern time. Just do that.